Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you can join us for another week.
We absolutely are.
And we're super excited. We're invited back. We invited back Alejandra Brady, and she's going to talk to us about Feng Shui for the holidays. So this is going to be really exciting because you're going to learn all kinds of tips and tricks. So welcome back, Alejandra. We're
It is
happy to
so
have
great
you.
to be here with you guys again. Thank you so much for inviting me back. I'm excited.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yes. Well, like I said just before we got on, I've been editing our previous one, and so that it's brought back a lot of these different feng shui things, and I've just been hearing a bunch of different things for feng shui. So I just recently moved my desk in my podcast area to be in the more power position. So
I love that. Good for you. You'll have to let me know if you feel a shift and like when you feel that shift, you know. I always encourage everyone to keep a notebook and keep track of the feng shui adjustments when you do them intentionally so you can see what's changing because you'll forget about it, you know, and
Right.
then you won't realize what happened and you're like, oh, and then so I think it's really fun to keep track of it.
yes, yes, I will definitely do that. So I'm geared up to learn lots. So we'll let you take it over and teach us all these tips and tricks of how to make our house prosperous and peaceful and all the good things that feng shui does for us.
Oh, awesome. Well, today I thought that we could kind of focus on the holidays. I know a lot of people have been reaching out to me on Instagram and asking me a lot of questions for feng shui for the holidays. So I thought I'd bring that over to you guys. And I would highly encourage the listeners of this podcast to, if you're listening to this while you're driving, definitely save this episode and go home and get paper and pencil out and write them down because we are going to be dropping a lot of knowledge today.
Love knowledge.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes, a lot. There is a lot to share. And I actually even typed it all out this time because I wanted to make sure that I was able to share as much as possible, you know, because we'll get carried away and going down tangents and, you know, we forget. So I really wanted to stay focused and be able to just really give everybody a lot of different tools to get through the holidays. They're stressful enough, you know, we don't need to add extra to it. And hopefully, some of these tips will help it feel a little bit more easeful and graceful and happy and peaceful and joyful and all the things that we're supposed to feel that are on the positive side of the spectrum.
Well, I'm
I'm
very,
sure you
very
will.
much looking forward to all those tips and tricks. I'm sure Mom is because,
Mhm.
the holiday, once this airs, the holidays will be fast upon us. So that's,
Yes,
I suggest
yes.
everybody goes to Aleandra's site and gets a free Bagua map.
Yes, you can download your free Bagua map by going to my website. And then that way, whenever I'm referring to anything on the Bagua map, you'll be able to use it. And there's a lot of stuff on my Instagram of how to use the Bagua map too. It's a great tool in the type of feng shui that I am certified in, which is BTB, which is a more westernized approach. So the first thing I kind of wanted to share with your audience were just kind of general tips for getting through the holidays and ways to protect your own energy, right? Because if you're the one that's doing the hosting and you know doing all the work, you can't give from an empty cup, as we all know. So these are just some great ways to protect your own energy. And by the way, you can use these tips as we are talking about before we came on air, all year long. You know, it's not specific to the holidays. You can use it anytime, but definitely try to implement at least two or three of these for the holidays. So the first one that I like to do, and I do this all year long, I would have them on right now, except I'm in my Pilates workout clothes. I wear crystals in my bra all the time, literally all the time. I keep a little selenite bowl in my bra drawer full of little crystals, you know, the small ones that, you know, you can stick in and nobody will see, and the selenite bowl will clear them. So at the end of the day, I'll clear whatever I put away. And then every morning I just wake up and see what feels good. I don't even worry about what anything means. It's like, what's calling my name? Do I want a purple one? Do I want a clear one? What is calling me? And that means that's what I need. So one way to always have your energy protected, whether you're going to parties or you're the one hosting or you're out in the crowded malls or whatever the case is in large crowds, is to have crystals in your bra. I just think that's an easy one and something we should all do all year round. Um, Another option is to add a clear quartz crystal somewhere near your front door. Some of these are going to be crystals, and then we'll get into some different things. But I love using crystals for calling in things and also as protection. And a clear quartz is called the master healer. I'm sure you guys know this. And what it does is it kind of takes the energy hit for you. So if somebody is coming into your home with less than fabulous intentions, let's just say, or if somebody is entering your home in a mood because maybe they had a bad day and it's transferring over as they walk in, the crystal will help absorb that. And then that energy won't permeate your space as much. So I have a huge one that was gifted to me that's 85 pounds
Oh,
near my
wow.
front door. Oh,
Wow.
she is so beautiful. And the person that gifted her to me said that the crystal was screaming my name to her when she was at the
Um,
Tucson Gem Show. Can you
Oh,
believe it?
wow.
I mean, and so she had it crated and shipped and then showed up at my house one day and said, "This is for you." I'm like,
nice.
"Oh my God, thank you." So she is spectacular. And everybody that comes in just kind of wants to love on her. And I'm like, yes, lay on her, touch her, feel her so she can absorb all your juju and not worry about me. So that's a great thing to do. On the other side, if you feel like you need some protection for your house, you can add some black tourmaline or obsidian, and you can put that like in your front doorway. I don't necessarily like crystals on the floor and stuff. Again, I'm an interior designer, so I like things to look aesthetically pleasing. I put them in my flower pots that are right outside my front door. And they just have crystals inside them that nobody sees, and then that way nobody steals them either. But they're there. And so they'll protect the house, and they'll also kind of absorb any negative energy as people are walking through that front door into your home.
Yes.
I also talk a lot about paying attention to the front door. And I think we touched on this in the other podcasts too, but this is a great time to pay attention. You know, your front door is going to be where all that energy comes into your home. So I'll just do a really fast overview. We don't have to linger on this, but check your front doormat. Make sure your door's in working order. Make sure it looks good. It's clean. The lights are not burnt out so that you don't feel burnt out during the season. If it's possible where you live to have fresh greenery out front, always a great positive chi enhancer. So of course, if you're calling in positive chi, your house is going to vibrate higher. Therefore, anyone coming into it's going to be lifted just by walking through that door. So all things you can do. And if people want to get more into the front door and all sorts of tips and tricks for that, it's all over my Instagram. And I am pretty sure we talked about it on the other podcast too. So they'll have multiple options as to where to look at that. I always invite you to do a salt burn or smoke cleanse or use Palo Santo, smudge, whatever works for you that clears energy before and after having people at your house. Like, do you guys ever notice, like, if you're hosting, you're in a great mood, people came, they leave, and suddenly you're like in this really bad mood, or you wake up the next morning and you're just like in this horrible mood? It's like, but why? It's like that residual energy from everybody else in your house is still there.
Yes.
And
Right.
you're right. It may not be
Right.
good, it may not be bad, it may be nothing, but it's not yours. So the point is to give a clean palette when your guests come in and to give a clean palette to yourself once they leave. So I do that a lot when I'm hosting, especially if it's more than 4, 5, 6 people, because then, you know, things have been happening all day to everybody. And by the time they get to your house, who knows what mood they're in. So I just think doing that. And again, I've got all sorts of tutorials on my Instagram to how to do a salt burn. But if you don't have time or you don't want to do that, there's smudge spray, there's Palo Santo, there's sage, whatever works for you. It all does the same thing. So you can do that. Okay, let's move on to how about decorations? Do you guys want to go into like what to do with your decorations for the holidays?
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
Okay, so I know this is coming out after Thanksgiving, but for future reference, I'm telling you guys, save this episode. You can do this for Thanksgiving, Easter, whatever, Hanukkah, whatever holidays you celebrate. I'm going to use Christmas and New Year's, but we can use it for anything. So in this order, I want you to clean the house, declutter as much as possible and organize. And this goes for the stuff that's in your house and for your holiday decor before you bring it in. Don't bring it in from the garage or the attic or the basement, wherever you keep it, right into your space. Try and open it beforehand and do the same thing. Give it a smoke cleanse, because that stuff has been sitting wherever you've had it sitting for a year. And think about that. Inside a box, inside Tupperware, whatever, however you store it, it's stagnant, very dead energy at this point. So you don't want to bring that much energy into your home that is less than positive. So I like to spread it all out as best as I can in the garage, smoke cleanse everything, go through everything. If things are broken and have broken, no super glue here, throw it away. Because broken things equal being broke. And I don't think any of us wants broke energy during the holidays. It's expensive enough, right?
100%.
Yeah, we don't need to add to that energy. So, sadly, and she's passed, so I can say this, but my mother was one of those people. I mean, if she could super glue something, it was super glued. So I grew up in a house where they were these, vases, and anything that could be super glued was super glued. And there was always financial issues that were taking place. And I understand that now, because they were coming from a place of lack. You have to trust that if it broke, that means it wasn't energetically a match for you anymore. You don't need it. And trust that the universe will replace it with that or better moving forward. You don't have to cling to it. I know that gets tricky sometimes with sentimental pieces for the holidays and sentimental ornaments, but to the best of your ability, let them go if you can. I know some people are like, baby's first Christmas and it's got like 5 cracks in it, and just do the best you can. But I encourage you strongly to let anything go that isn't, and if it doesn't spark joy, if you get a gift, or if you get, and we'll talk about gifts a little further in, but like if you open up something that you use as a decoration, you're like, oh, that horrible blah, blah, blah gave it to me. If that's what the first thing you think of when you see this item, let it go, right? Because again, that's not the energy that you want to bring into your space. You'd be surprised. I work with so many people, and as I'm walking around their home, they'll be like, yeah, I hate her, but she gave me this. I'm like, so why is it still here? Like, the first thing you're telling me about it is that you hate the person that gave it to you. Why is this still here? Because it does matter. Your energy will pick that up. So now you've gone through everything. Now you've cleansed everything, go through them, decide what you want to use, decide what you want to keep, release, let go of anything you don't. And then I also encourage everybody, especially with like fall and Thanksgiving and stuff, when there's lots of pumpkins and gourds available, to buy as much fresh as you can. And it makes for less to have to take care of and store, right? Therefore reducing clutter, because we don't have to store it. You can just let it go.
Yeah.
I loved when we lived in Sedona, because I came to find out that Javelina's favorite food were pumpkins and squash. So when I was done decorating with them, I would just throw them out into like our backyard, and they'd be gone the next day, which was fabulous. I'm like, oh, I'm not even throwing away, right? Something's eating them, which I loved. I don't have that here in Florida, but I love that there. Now you also want to bring in, and again, all year round, fresh flowers to whatever the main spaces that people are going to hang out in. So let's think about that. Where would be the main spaces? Like the living area, the kitchen, if they're coming over for meals, the dining area, even the main bathroom that your guests will use. All will benefit greatly from having some fresh flowers. And again, that uplifting chi, because flowers just immediately increase the energy output in your home and just lift that chi up and just have so many positive benefits to them. And, if you're having guests stay over, some small flowers in their room also will be a very nice touch, right?
Yeah.
Any questions so far?
Yeah, I actually do.
Yeah, go for it.
So if you had, let's say, a vase with fake flowers in it, Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Like it, I know fresh is better, but just as a decorative thing,
Mhm.
what's the feeling behind that?
So I don't necessarily subscribe to whether it's good or bad. It depends on everything going on in your house. If everything else in your house is vibrating at a super high level and you have one vase in the corner with some silk flowers, I prefer silk at least over plastic. I really don't, I mean, there's no vibration to plastic flowers. The silk is a little bit higher, maybe. Um, then it probably isn't going to hurt anything because you have so much other good life force going on. If it's a house that maybe is not vibrating necessarily high, or you feel like the vibration could be higher, then I would opt to do some fresh flowers instead whenever possible.
Okay.
It just depends on, what's going on, what you need. When people are sick, I always say, please bring in the fresh flowers because again, it's vital energy, life force. So you're not going to get that same thing. But I understand that it's not always possible. I understand that some people feel, maybe it's not financially possible. So just set the intention. And most grocery stores now have those little, at least here in Florida, the three little packs for $12. So you can have one flower. Go outside and bring in a flower. Do what you can, but anytime you can, for a feng shui enhancement, it is live.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I do have, and I keep them there year round, and I, you know, clean them and do things with
Good.
them. But I do leave them in there in like sort of the half bathroom because it's quite dark in there. So
Hmm.
that's good. They can stay
Yeah.
as long as my energy's good.
Yes. Yeah. So, definitely as long as you're keeping it all clean and you're attending to it as well. And if everything else feels good to you, which I'm sure in your home it does, then I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay.
But if you are having company over, I'd say I'd swap them out
Okay.
while
Yeah.
company's there, at least during the holidays. I
Perfect.
always think that's a good one. And then I also like to remind people that words have meaning. And again, this could be year round. So be careful what you're saying about yourself to others. Try and use words like gratitude and joy and celebrate, versus I'm exhausted, I'm tired. I can't remember where I heard this. I want to say it may be Oprah, but I'm not sure. Instead of saying I'm exhausted, I'm tired, say something like, I can't wait to get my second wind. And I'm like, oh, that is really good
That's
because you're not like discounting how you feel, but you're spinning it in a more positive light. Because if you keep saying I'm exhausted, you're going to feel even more exhausted, right? You're doubling
True.
it because you're putting it out there. So I liked that, and it's always stuck with me. I think it was her. I hope I'm giving credit where credit is due. Um, Also, I know some people who talk very poorly about themselves when they're talking about themselves, like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, I'm such a chicken. It's like don't use those words to describe yourself because you will manifest more of whatever it is that you are saying about yourself to your kids, to your spouse, to your guests, whomever it is. So just pay attention to the words you're using, especially when we're all going to be running around stressed out and, wanting to unleash sometimes. Try and keep that in mind and just bring in a little bit more of a feeling of gratitude. Mirrors too. And again, all year long, but really good during the holidays as we're decorating. Mirrors also double whatever we put in front of them. So if you're using those fresh items, fresh decor, garlands, wreaths, Christmas balls, in the fall, pumpkins, gourds, the mirror is going to double that if you have it right in front of it. Like my huge crystal I was telling you guys about, I have a mirror right behind it.
Oh, nice.
So,
Oh,
oh
wow.
yeah, I want that. Like that one is just like covers this house, I still think she had something to do with helping us get through the two hurricanes because I think that she just kind of protected a little dome over our house because I had to leave everything. We left, we're mandatory evacuation, so I wasn't able to pack anything and take it. Just our dogs and a small duffel for my husband, myself, our computers, papers, important documents, and that was it. So I left the house with all my beautiful things. And, it was a very interesting experience to have to just walk away, not knowing if you were going to come back to anything.
Absolutely.
So I feel that she helped protect the house, and it also helps me see things very differently. And it actually does tie into our holiday. Um, don't stress so much because it's just stuff. So don't let it overwhelm you. Don't stress. If it's not perfect, it's totally fine. Use your intentions and do what you can, do the best you can, and that's it. Let the rest go. So
Right.
no, there's no need to overstress. It really did change my outlook on a lot of things to have to leave everything. And, as an interior designer and as a feng shui expert, like I treasure my house and I treasure my stuff and I love my stuff. And I just walked away and said, well, you know, nothing may
What's
be
going to
here
be
when I
is going
get
to be,
back. And
right?
that's got to be okay too. So that's just I think a good attitude to have with us during the holidays and beyond, that it's okay either way. So, but back to some fun tips.
Right.
I don't want to
But
go down too dark a hole.
well, but I think that's really good information though, because I think,
Yeah.
you know, it is unfortunate when you're put in that position. And like you say, as an interior designer and a feng shui, master, you're putting your house in a way that it has that energy for you. And so when you are, faced with that, I think that's really important because I think as people are faced with stuff over the holidays as well, bad situations, whatever, weather, what have you,
Mhm.
it's okay. Just let it go and let it just, let it be the way that it's supposed to be.
What is that old saying? This too shall pass,
Yeah.
And just remember that this too shall pass, whatever it is
Yeah.
that you're experiencing at the moment. Yes. Another thing I love, love, love essential oils. I don't know if you guys love them or not, but I'm obsessed with essential oils, and I almost always have a diffuser going on somewhere in the house. So I'm going to read straight from my list because I have a lot of them and what they mean. Not a lot, but and what they mean and how you can use them for the holidays to help you. So this is all for diffusing, but if there's other ways that you want to use them, you can just look at the oil and see how it's meant to be used, because some can touch your skin, some can't. Just read the packaging. Pine. So if you diffuse pine, it clears the mind of stress and helps relieve fatigue. So we will be diffusing pine a lot.
Yeah.
um, Cypress energizes and grounds you. Cinnamon reduces exhaustion and calls in prosperity, which I think is beautiful. I put cinnamon oil every new moon on my front door just to call in prosperity. I have a ritual that I do for my front door every new moon, just so that I have an easy way to remember to do it. And that every new moon just works for me. So I always use cinnamon oil, but diffusing it will help reduce exhaustion and call in prosperity. Spruce reduces anxiety and helps reduce mental fatigue. Clove is antimicrobial, so always a good one to have diffusing if you're going to have a lot of people over, especially during cold and flu and all that COVID season, whatever it's called these days. Orange, orange is uplifting and energizing. So if you're feeling really low energy, diffuse a little bit of orange. And peppermint soothes feelings of irritability and clears the respiratory, and it also soothes tension. So some good ones there to try. I like to mix some up. I could imagine like a beautiful combination of orange, clove, and cinnamon. That sounds kind of yummy together. So play with these and experiment, but it's nice that you can use them in several different ways to also have some intention to them and have them be helping you in your space. Okay, let's talk about Christmas. Clutter-free gift ideas, you guys. How do you guys feel about gifts?
Well, I mean, I like gifts, but I
Uh-huh.
also feel for the most part, I buy what I want when I want it. So for me, unless I like something something nice I can wear, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not big on gift cards, but and I think we touched on this a little bit before, but something that I would enjoy doing, like I would rather go out for the day with my mom and go get her a pedicure. I would rather
Right. An
do that.
experience. Yeah,
Yes.
an experience.
Yes.
I,
And
I've,
we've
I've,
we've been very much changing the way that we do things so that we're actually not gift giving with it. We have a big family. So
mhm.
not gift giving because, well, most people have what they want. So
Mhm.
me buying you something for your house, you might be like, oh, geez, thanks. That's great. I wonder if I
What
could put
up?
it in the closet and just bring it out when you come over.
Well, and do you know how many people do? I cannot tell you how many homes I work on where people do exactly that. And
Yeah.
and it's just I would hate to think that somebody did that with something that I gave them, you know? So what I've kind of turned to is unless I know something specific, for my son and my daughter-in-law, I'm like, send me your lists. And they're like, my daughter-in-law, this will be their first Christmas. No, I guess this is their second Christmas married. She's like, I feel weird. I'm like, you're making my life easier because then I'm not going to buy you something you don't want. Send me a list of 5 or 6 things. I'll pick 3 or 4. So you'll still sort of be surprised. And I just think that's a really good way to do it, especially as they get older. We're not talking little kids here, they're 30. But I also think it's really sad, like you were just saying, if you take something out only when people are coming over. When I was pregnant with my son and we were traveling, I decided I wanted to collect teapots. So this is a minute. He's going to be 30. And so we were in London. I went to Harrods. I got a teapot. We're in Spain. So I had a very intentional collection going. Well, my friends got wind of the fact that I like teapots. And then I was getting teapots from Target, Marshall, TJ, whatever. And I'm like, no, that wasn't what I was looking for. I wasn't just collecting to amass teapots. It was supposed to be a teapot because I do love tea from fabulous places that I traveled to help me remember traveling to that place. And I was 26, 27, and I felt so guilty. I'm like, well, I can't get rid of them. They've all given them to me. And I had them all on display. And I felt like, oh, they're just stuff. So I would encourage anyone that unless you've talked to the person and if you know that they have collections, leave them alone. They have collections for a reason and they're doing their collection their way. Like don't
Right.
don't add to that. Certainly gift experiences, gift travel, if that's it. Um, gift cards if it makes sense. Spa gift certificates. I mean, I've trained my friends. My friends are great now. For my birthday, which was in September, I got a facial, massage, beautiful, beautiful candles, clean, all clean. Another friend of mine was really good at makeup, and I don't really get in. I wear what I have to wear, but like I'm not a person that likes to go to the makeup counter. It overwhelms me. Um, so she knows what I like and what would look good on me. So she went and bought me like a couple of pieces of makeup, all clean beauty, because she knows. So I'm like, figure out and have it be super intentional. And if you can't figure it out, then give something that can easily be regifted. Like let your friend off the hook. A bottle of wine, something that can be consumed, a candle, flowers, a plant. Just give something that can very easily be regifted if it's not going to be what works for them. And don't have them feel that guilt of having to figure out what to do with this teapot, that they don't really want.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was nice I think it was last year or the year before, my one stepdaughter bought me a little Capricorn candle and it had all these crystals in it and some
Love that.
really kind of funky stuff. So it was really great because, yeah, now it's done and I still have the glass jar so I can decide, do I want to keep that as a memory and put something nice in there, or do I want to just, move it along down the road?
Right, right. Yeah, I know some of these candle containers nowadays are gorgeous. I do. I will put them in the freezer, to scrape off the last of it and then run them through the dishwasher. And sometimes I use them as little like mini vases. And I
Yeah.
mean, there are some really, really beautiful candle containers out there. So if that works, yes. If it's just going to sit there, then, maybe it's time to let it go. But if you are going to find a way to repurpose it and use it to where it's a useful item for you, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk about the tree for a little bit.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the tree itself is quite auspicious. And it becomes even more auspicious if you put it in either, let me pull out I'll pull out a quick, my little my little Bagua map that's in my card deck. Um, Okay, so here's the Bagua map. This is a tool that we use and we talked about at the beginning. So there are two areas of our homes or our spaces that are wood element areas, and a tree is considered a wood element. So if you are able to, and it makes sense in your home to place your tree in either the wealth corner, which would be the back left-hand side of your house if you're standing at your front door looking into your home, or right below that center left-hand side of your house, then you're doubling the auspiciousness of the tree by having it in either one of those areas. So it's just an extra little boost of good chi in your house. What you don't want though is to block anything. You want to make sure that that tree is not blocking walkways or any place. Like if you've got to like shimmy around to get to the rest of your space, then it could be creating an obstacle for you. So, if it doesn't make sense in that area because it would block something there, then just make sure you're placing it in an area that makes sense where you can see it and it's not blocking anything to the best of its ability, right? I mean, none of us just have huge empty spaces for trees. Most of us have to move something to the garage to bring the tree in, myself
Yep.
included,
Yep.
So just try and make sure that it's not going to create any obstacles for you, because we obviously don't want to add any more obstacles to anything this holiday season.
That's true.
Um, like anything else, I would say don't over clutter the tree. Put stuff on there that is meaningful. Again, don't hang up things that were given to you by somebody that you no longer speak to, or that you don't care for, or that you have bad memories with. Don't put in anything that's broken. Give your ornaments a chance to shine, so that you can look at them and see. I love that. We've been collecting since we first got married. I inherited a few from my parents when they passed. And so for us now, it's 35 years of memories. And
Well,
it's just, but I'm super picky about what I buy. Now I get ornaments a lot of times when we travel, especially if we travel abroad. But I, at the most, will buy one ornament a year. I don't buy ornaments all year long, and I need to have all of these. So I don't want to leave that. We only have one child. We have one son and now my daughter-in-law. And like, I just don't want to leave them that burden of so much stuff that they don't know what's important and what isn't. And this goes for anything and everything in your house. My mom tended to hoard. So when my sister and I had to clean out her house, we had no idea what was meaningful and what wasn't, because there was just the mass quantities of things. So this goes across the board, whether it's your everyday house or your Christmas tree. Give
right.
everything a chance to breathe and to shine, and so that you can enjoy it even more. Yeah, I just said only use ornaments you truly love. And when you add the gifts under the tree, it's also symbolizing abundance, right? Because you're able to buy. So as soon as you're able to, I know some people don't put out gifts until like the night before or whatever. I like to put them out as long as possible. Once I buy them and wrap them, I like to put them under the tree because they signal abundance in the home. So I like doing that. And of course, if it's real, don't forget to water it. A dead tree isn't very good feng shui. Not much of a chi enhancer if you've got, the sad little tree going
Right.
over there. And then another thing I like to do, and do this, I do this several times a year, but I really do it during the holidays just because it smells good. And again, we live in Florida, so it could be 90 degrees outside and it's Christmas. So anything I can do to have it feel more holiday-y, I feel is a nice thing. So I'll have a pot on the stove simmering on low, and maybe you girls do this too. I'll do sliced oranges, sliced lemons, some cinnamon, some clove. Uh, and it's very intentional. Moving water symbolizes prosperity and abundance. I think last time we talked about how moving water outside your front door or near your front door calls in abundance to your home. So once again, having something simmering on the stove moves the water, right? The water's moving. The oranges, prosperity. The cinnamon, prosperity. The lemon clears and cleanses. The clove clears and cleanses. So there's a lot of stuff happening at the same time, and it all smells yummy. But again, super intentional, super, super intentional. And then I just add, I check it every couple of hours and just keep adding some water. And you should be able to get out of like one orange, one lemon, a couple of sticks of cinnamon and a handful of cloves. You could probably use it 2 days in a row. And then it gets kind of mushy and gross. But if you keep adding the water so it doesn't get super thick and sludgy, you can definitely use it a second day. So I'll do it like on a Saturday morning and then throw everything away Sunday night a lot of times, just because I'm in the house a lot more on the weekends, right? So just an easy way to do that. And then I thought, any questions on holidays from you guys before I move into like what we can do to move into the new year?
Yeah, no, not so far. Not for me
Nope,
anyway.
but I now know what I need to do when I bring my tree in this year. So
There you go.
I
Send
can't
me
put it in
pictures.
either of those spots because
And
one is
that's
my
okay.
bedroom. But
Yeah.
I mean, so I guess that is a question that I have. When you're doing the map and you're looking at the areas, do you do it the house is a whole and then each room separately? Like, can you do that when you're doing it? Like, how?
So the beauty of this little tool, the Bagua map, is that the answer is yes and yes. Yes, you can look at the house as a whole. My house actually is shaped very close to a square, so it works out great for me. And I did that intentionally when we were looking for houses. However, my house in Sedona looks nothing like this. It went all over the map because it was all about the views. So every room was angled in a different direction because it was about getting those, huge mountain vistas and long views. So in that house, I went room by room. So if you have a house that's close to a square or a rectangle, you can stand at your front door and it will more than likely line up with the career area, which is this black center bottom area of the map. And for those of you that are just listening, the Bagua looks like a tic-tac-toe board. So we're talking about the center bottom square would be where your front door usually lines up. Sometimes, and in some homes, you'll have it line up, to the left or to the right. And so it would be either like in your helpful people and travels or in your skills and knowledge, but almost always it's in the career. And then you look at your home standing at the front door looking in, and then you can kind of divide it into those 9 areas of life. If you have a house where you have to go room by room, then you would use the main door to each room and line it up with the career area. That's how you would do it. Does that answer the
Yep,
question?
that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yep.
And you can do this. I have a post that's actually getting ready to go up in a day or two. I just did it the other day. You can use this on your bed. So you can manifest with the Bagua map while you're sleeping because we all spend about a third of our lives in bed. So
Right.
think about that. You can print out a Bagua map, laminate it, and stick it under your between your mattress and your box spring with the career area lining up in the center bottom half of your bed, like where your feet would be, but in the center. Um, and then you can manifest with that. You can break up into 9 different areas and put crystals in these colors in each one of those areas between your mattress and box spring. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can do red envelopes to call in prosperity in all different 9 areas. So it's an amazing tool and you can use it so many different ways. You can use it for your desk. You can feng shui your car with it. You can use it for your nightstands. Whatever space that's flat and horizontal in some way or another, you can use it. I feng shui the garden too. I kind of use the house as the center and then work around it
Okay.
just to kind of,
Interesting.
reinforce. And if it doesn't line up perfectly, that's fine. Again, do the best with the situation that you're in. But it is a great way to work with it. So I love it.
Well,
It
thank you.
works. You're welcome. All right. So we ready to get ready for 2025? Can we even
Oh,
believe we're
you
seeing
bet.
those
You bet.
numbers?
I know.
I mean, I was still like, it's 1999, you know?
Yeah.
We have 2025 is going to be really big in our household. It is my husband's and my 35th wedding anniversary. It is going to
Congratulations.
be his, thank you. It is going to be his 60th birthday. It
Wow.
is going to be our son's 30th and our daughter-in-law's 30th.
Oh,
We
Wow.
have
wow.
big celebrations next year. So I want to get everything lined up, to vibrate as high as possible going into 2025. And there's two different calendars, right? There's the one we all use on December 31st. And then a lot of feng shui practitioners, myself included, will also celebrate Lunar New Year, which January 29th, 2025 is going to be Lunar New Year. So, what I would suggest to everyone listening is if you cannot get to these tips and if they don't make sense to you or you're out of town for the holidays, as we almost always are, um, and it just isn't going to happen for you by December 31st, you have till January 29th. And then you can just kind of intentionally set all of this in motion for the Lunar New Year. So it's nice to have two options, right? I like options.
That's
So
perfect.
yes, it just kind of gives you a little bit of breathing room, right? And I know a lot of people, I grew up Mexican Catholic, so a lot of people don't take their trees down till like I think it's January 6th. There's another day, like Day of the Little King, or there's some other day that happens in early January. And so people like to keep their tree up until then. I personally, if I'm able to, if I'm in town and I'm done with hosting, I like everything clean. And I like waking up on January 1st and the house is clean and there's no tree and there's no Christmas decorations and there's nothing, it's just a
Me too.
blank slate. Not always possible,
Yeah.
but if it is, that's always my first choice. And then I like to give the house a really good cleaning. You can even kind of wipe down your cabinets with a little bit of salt in water and then wipe down all the cabinets. And that's giving it an energetic cleanse and maybe adding a tiny bit of basil oil. I do that again. Part of my new moon is I wipe down my front door with a little bit of basil and a little bit of rosemary oils along with water once a month minimum. If it's been gross outside, I'll do it more often, but minimum of once a month. And the basil oil calls in prosperity and rosemary calls in protection. And since the kitchen, no matter where it falls in your home, not necessarily having to be in the wealth gua, right? But anywhere in your home, the kitchen is considered a prosperity hub. So wiping it down with a little bit of salt to clear and cleanse and a little bit of basil oil is a great way to start the new year energetically. You can do it with your counters, wipe down the cabinets, whatever you can do, but spend a little time intentionally doing a nice deep clean. Your stove and your oven, for the very same reasons, are prosperity centers. So you want those as clean as possible to start the new year, always, always, always. Um, I strongly feel, again, if possible, and you're not hosting, clean out the fridge and freezer, start fresh. It doesn't mean you have to throw away everything, but get rid of all those leftovers and the half-eaten stuff that's been in there and the stuff, that maybe is not best for you, but it's been left over from the holidays. Start as clean and fresh and fill up your refrigerator and your freezer with really good, healthy, vibrant foods, whatever it is that you eat, but have them be as healthy and as vibrant. Great time to check on your spices, because spices go stale too. And people don't think about spices. But no matter when I help somebody declutter or clean out, I will find spices that expired, 5 years ago. And anytime I clean out my pantry, and I try and do a really good clean at least twice a year, sometimes three, um, there's always something expired. Nobody escapes this. It happens to all of us because you can't possibly be on top of it. But cooking with stale spices is cooking with stagnant energy, and that's kind of the opposite of what we're trying to do for our families, right? So
Yeah.
it's a good
True.
time to check it. Just kind of and then I like to really stock up the pantry. I go and get my rice and quinoa and whatever else we eat that will hold up in the pantry and have that pantry feel really rich and full of good stuff going into the new year because you're kind of walking in like, yeah, this is going to be a good year. I'm calling it abundance and good positive energy. These are all things that will kind of help call in prosperity for the new year, especially. And what else do we want to do here? Great time to look around and get rid of, what do you have that just isn't serving you? Toxic beauty products. Again, you don't have to throw everything out, but as you run out of stuff, if you have stuff that isn't clean beauty, then perhaps make a better choice. Because it really does matter. If you're putting stuff on your body, it's almost the same as what you're eating, right? I mean, it's absorbing into your body. So as much as possible, clean beauty products, um, cleaning products. I was trying to think, how am I going to say that? Non-toxic cleaning products is what I was trying to say. So anytime that you can make a swap for something better, do it, and it will just help your home and everyone in your home. Everybody benefits from all this stuff, right? So as you're removing other stuff that you can get rid of, maybe some takeout menus, catering menus, anything that you use during the holidays that you're not going to need, that are just going to take up paper clutter. I know people get very sensitive about this. I have one client I've had for over 20 years, and to this day, she has D rings, just those silver round rings. She punches holes in all her Christmas cards, and she keeps every single card and dates it, So we have a D ring with a smaller little ring, and it has the date. So 2021, 2020, blah, 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 and she keeps all of them. Well, now her Tupperwares are bins upon bins upon bins of all these old Christmas cards. And I'm like, what are you going to do with them? It used to be cute when the kids were little and you had maybe 2 or 3 piles of the years. But when you have 25 years of them, like, she goes, oh, can you help me decorate? I'm like, no, it's just mess. Like, I'm not, what am I going to do? Create a pile of piles?
Yeah.
So I know people get sensitive. If you can't bear to part with the cards, then, maybe try and keep just the ones that are from your closest friends, or the ones that have photos. A lot of people like to keep them because, oh, but that's the photo. Most of us have social media, which means most of us are going to see all the exact same photos on everyone's Instagram and Facebook and so forth and so on. So you'll have seen the same photo that comes in the mail to you 5 other different ways.
Right.
I get rid of them now. I actually stopped sending them so people would stop sending them to me. And the first few years, people got very offended. And I'm like, it's just paper clutter. There's nothing positive about this. It doesn't help the environment. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help me because it's a lot of effort on my part, So I've stopped doing it, period. If you want to keep maybe 2, 3 years back and then let go of anything that's older, but just don't let that become another form of clutter, another thing that you have to store and keep that's just going to overtake you. So all that kind of stuff, I think, just get rid of it. Now's the time to go through maybe towels and linens. Let's get fresh sets. There's always really, really good white sales. You know how there's every month there's like what you should buy that month. I think end of September is like cars. January is white sales. So that's when you go and refresh your linens, your towels, anything that's worn or torn, dirty, mismatched. It's a great time to get it because there's really, really good sales on them after the holidays. So let go of the ones that are not working or mismatched and look terrible, and get some fresh ones for the new year. And you've got till January 29th, guys. So you've got plenty of time to do it. The unhealthy plants, of course, we don't want to take those into the new year. So if you've got plants that are struggling, if you can't get them to come back, then perhaps say thank you to them for the energy that they did bring in while they were healthy and thriving, and then let them go. Some quick tips, and then we can just wrap up. Fresh flowers in the kitchen, always amazing, right? To welcome in the new year. We talked about checking that front door. If you didn't get to make adjustments before the holidays, make them before the new year. Great time to get a new doormat if you need a new doormat. Also, kind of pay attention to what's on your doormat. I saw this during especially Halloween. Doormats that say go away. I know that they're meant to be fun and cheeky and cute, but what is that saying to the energy that's trying to find its way into your home? It's literally just going to turn around and go right back in the other direction. You're telling it to go away, And I also like to tell people not to get monogrammed ones or with your name on them. because energetically people are stepping on your name every time they come in and out of that door. So
That's
just
true.
some, right? It's
Yeah.
I never thought of that until my feng shui teacher taught me that. I was like, oh, all right, we will be letting this one go that says the Brady's. Bye-bye. And I just like plain, black. I mean, there's so many cute ones. You can layer different sizes. You can do so many cute things now. But yeah, it's just easy, and you can get them at Target, on Amazon. It shouldn't be a big thing, but it's a great time to get a new one if your door needs that. You can add a citrine to the wealth area of your home or your desk to welcome in prosperity and abundance in the new year. And again, if we look at our Bagua map, the wealth area is going to be that back left-hand corner, one of the areas where we talked about putting the tree. You can add a jade plant by your front door, inside or outside. Jade plants have rounded leaves, which look like coins, which in feng shui represent prosperity.
Right.
So we love that. We talked about stocking your pantry. And last but not least, it's time to re-gift or let go of those gifts that you got that you do not. Let them go, give them away, donate them, recycle them, do whatever you need to do with them, but don't go into the new year with gifts that are not what you wanted or what you need or what you just don't feel good about.
True. That's true.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So those are kind of my tips and tricks for getting through the holidays. What do you guys think?
Beautiful.
I love them. I think that there's so much, well, just common sense in a lot of them too.
It's what feng shui
And
is.
yeah, right. And it just, it's funny because I put away my Halloween stuff and I was like, oh, I should have totally just threw out what I didn't want anymore. I'm like, okay, well, too late. It's already down in the crawl space. I'm not making my husband carry it back up. But I said next year when I bring it up, I'm going through all of it before I even set it up and
There
getting
you
rid of what
go.
I don't need anymore. Right. So I can see how that carries through. And yeah, like I agree. And that's why we started in our family, mostly because it's a big family. We still buy for the
Right.
rules, but for the big ones, it's like, let's do something fun. Does everybody need a mug? Let's get a mug and, put some chocolates in it and things like that. Or let's get funny t-shirts. And you know what? If it hits the no thank you box next month, no harm, no foul, right?
Right. Right.
So I love those tips and tricks. I
And I
appreciate.
think that's the thing too, right? As the receiver and as the giver, don't be attached to that. If you think it was the greatest gift in the world, but it didn't function for someone, be okay that it didn't function for them. Like, don't take it personally and stop talking to them because they didn't put the mug out. I mean, let it go. Yeah.
Yeah, too small.
Yeah, we've been trying to do, they're coming here this year for the first time, but for the past few years, what we've been trying to do is take a trip with the kids. And again, I have grown kids, right? And my husband and I will pay for the flight and the hotel because they're just getting started. It's getting better now. I'm like, oh, we're getting to the point where you're going to start paying for mommy and daddy to go somewhere. But then they will pay like for an excursion for the day out, which is great. We were
Yeah.
in Ireland 2 Christmases ago for a wedding. And so we spent Christmas and New Year's in Ireland, and it was just amazing. And so our now daughter-in-law said, well, how about for a day trip, I get us train tickets to Belfast, and we'll go to the Titanic Museum was there, which I didn't even know was there. And then we'll do lunch and then we'll come back. I'm like, that's perfect. So there's so many different ways to do it. But I'm not saying, hey, if somebody wants something specific and you know what it is and you want to do it for them, by all means. My love language is gifts. So trust me, I love giving them and I love getting them. I always prefer, like I tell my husband, I don't want 8 little things under the tree. Like I want one Mac Daddy really good gift, maybe two, you know, but I'd much rather that.
Mhm.
I'd much rather have my weaknesses, designer purses and shoes. So I'm like, I want one really good handbag. And then you can put something in my stocking that's fun or little or whatever, cologne or perfume, whatever,
Yeah.
and call it a day. I don't want 5 or 6 little gifts. And that works for us. And we've gotten to the point where I have to send him links and just say, I'll send him 5 or 6 and say, surprise me, pick one from here. Because the one year I didn't, this is so funny. The one year I didn't, he was beaming as I walked down the stairs, and there is a huge Louis Vuitton box under the tree. And you could just see he was like a little kid. He's like, I did so good. I did so good. I did so good. And I opened the box and he goes, this looks just like you. As soon as I saw it, I knew that you had to have it. And I'm like, I absolutely love it. And it does look just like me because it's the purse that's sitting on the bench at the end of our bed upstairs. I've been carrying it around for a year.
Oh
So,
no. Oh no.
so the poor guy, that was the last time he tried to do it on his own. He's like, I can't win. I'm like, well, you got the fact that it looked just like me because it does, because you've been seeing me carry around this handbag for a year. So I find that works for us and really reduces the amount of returns. Just send, several links all over the place and say, pick 1 or 2 things and surprise me with whatever's in my stocking and call it a day. But yeah, that was, my heart broke for him. I felt so bad because you tried so hard.
Oh, they do try. My husband a lot of times has started like for my birthday or birthday Christmas, he's like, you like to go away on these retreats. I'm just going to buy you a ticket to go away on the retreat.
I will happily take that anytime.
No
It
kidding.
works for me because
Yep.
I don't, and he knows, like, I don't want a lot of clutter around my house.
Right.
I don't like it. And, as it is, I'm just trying to go through my closets now and get rid of clutter because it's, how it gets. It's like, I don't know what to do with this and I'm not
Yep.
sure, so it goes in the closet. Well, that's great until you open the closet and it's like,
What
oh,
the heck?
Lord. That
And
just gives me anxiety.
that's a really fun thing that you could probably accomplish before the 29th too. You can do the boxes, you can do the keep, the donate, the maybe, the sell, and the maybe, anything that's a maybe that you're not sure what to do with. Here's a great trick or tip actually, that I was taught. Put them in a box, close the box up, put it in the garage, check if a month later you can tell me everything that's in that box, then that means that those items still mean something to you. Chances are you'll forget everything that's in there and you'll be functioning just fine without it. That means that you can let it go. So that's one way to deal with some of that stuff that seems so overwhelming. That's what we did this year. So for my birthday, which was in September, and my husband's was November 1st, and then for Christmas for both of us, we're going to Hawaii.
Nice.
So
Nice.
we didn't exchange gifts. We're just like, we're going to go to Hawaii, and I'll actually be getting back, I think, the day that this one airs.
Fun.
So yeah. Because then the kids are coming here. But yeah, that's what we decided this year, because I'd much rather always have a trip. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
been
excited.
such a pleasure talking to you again and getting all these tips. And of course, as usual, I'm sure mom is the same. It's just making our minds go, oh, I got to fix that. I got to go there. I got to fix that. I'll be busy. I mean, I did do some stuff after we talked last time. I straightened my front door. That's been a lot better energy actually coming in. I've been opening it every day. I think my family thinks I'm crazy, but that's okay. It doesn't matter.
It's
And I
okay.
moved my no thank you box out to the garage. That's been happy out in the garage. So yeah,
I
it's
love
good.
that. I love that. They'll say you're crazy, but they'll feel all the benefits of it too. Because it doesn't matter if everyone believes in it or not in the house. The fact that you're intentionally doing these things will affect everyone in the house for the
That's
better.
right.
So just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually they're all going to be like, so what's going on now?
I know when I moved my desk the other day, my granddaughter had come in. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I need to move my desk because I need to bring in prosperity and I need to bring in more business on my personal front. And so I need my desk in this position. She's like, okay.
How old is your granddaughter?
She's almost 19.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that's quite the explanation. If it's a little kid, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no,
I
she's
love
19.
that. That's so cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
so we really appreciate all your tips and tricks. It's always a pleasure talking to you and we hope that you'll come back another time and give us some more tips and tricks and
Sure. I
have
love hanging out
followers.
with you
So
guys.
perfect. And
So
do you want
fun.
to tell everybody where to find you?
Sure. Well, the easiest places would be Instagram, like I talked about. And my Instagram is Alejandra G. Brady Lifestyled. And on my website, alejandrabrady.com. That's kind of where I've narrowed it down to. It's just too much for me to try and deal with all the socials.
Yeah.
It is a
So
lot.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, for consultations and all that, I do virtual consultations all over the world. Or you can, take me places. I have a client flying me on a helicopter to one of her properties tomorrow.
Ooh,
Nice.
fun.
Yes, yes. So if you want to do that, I'm always game. So I love doing them and it's a lot of fun. I did one in England last week, so it's always a good time.
Oh,
And
fun.
that's the easiest way to work with me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again. It's been such a
Thank you.
pleasure.
And if we
And
don't talk before the holidays, happy holidays and happy new year.
yes,
Same back to
to
you.
you as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Look forward
Thank
to
you
it.
so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming on.